What happens when the CEO who built the business from scratch gets handed a customer complaint that doesn't add up? Colson Tate leaned back in his office chair, staring at the printed report. 18 hotels across the state, each one opened by his own hands over the last 12 years. From cleaning the first lobby himself to hiring his first housekeeper, he knew what it took to run a clean, welcoming place. But that familiarity had faded. "I don't care what the numbers say," Colson told his assistant across the desk. "You don't get 5 perfect reviews a week, and then suddenly 3 1-stars in a row, all about the same location. Something's off." The issue was at the 17th hotel, mid-sized, just off the highway in a busy suburb. The district manager said everything was fine. The location manager claimed staffing was tight but manageable, but Colson wasn't interested in filtered answers anymore. "I'm going in," he said. "Undercover." His assistant blinked. "You mean like actually clean rooms?" "That's exactly what I mean." Colson had never met the staff at that location. Most had been hired post-pandemic, and he hadn't visited in over a year. It was a corporate-style property with centralized hiring and uniforms. With a shaved beard, a cap, and the name Rick on his fake ID badge, no one blinked when he showed up for training. "Housekeeping," said the front desk girl when he arrived. "Manager's just through there." She pointed to a back hallway and went back to scrolling on her screen. The manager, Daryl, was in his mid-40s and looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. "You the new guy?" he asked, glancing him up and down. "Yeah, Rick. I'm supposed to start training today." Daryl scoffed. "Good luck. We're short-staffed. You'll be with Petra. Try not to slow her down." Colson didn't say anything, just nodded and followed instructions. Petra was already scrubbing a bathroom when he caught up to her on the 3rd floor. Early 30s, tired eyes, hair tied back tight, moving with practiced speed. "You're the new temp?" she asked without stopping. "Grab gloves. We've got 14 checkouts today." 14, Colson asked, pulling on gloves. "How many people on shift?" "Just me and you. Normally we're 4. 1 quit last week. 1's out sick with her kid. And Daryl won't pitch in unless corporate's visiting." Colson paused over the bed, tucking corners. "That's a lot." Petra shrugged. "It's been worse." They worked for hours. Petra barely spoke, except to correct him. "Corners tighter. Use the yellow rag for mirrors. Don't forget behind the toilet." By the 6th room, Colson's back ached. He'd forgotten how physical this job was. Petra didn't complain once, even as sweat soaked through her shirt. At noon, he offered to grab them both a soda from the vending machine. "You go, I'll catch up," she said, wiping her forehead. He returned 5 minutes later to find her crouched in the corner of a room, head bowed, shoulders shaking. "Petra?" he said carefully. She quickly wiped her face, but the tears had already streaked her cheeks. Hey, what's wrong?" "I'm fine," she said, voice cracking. "Just tired." "This more than tired," Colson said, crouching beside her. "What's really going on?" Petra hesitated. Then the words spilled out. "I'm working double shifts, 6 days a week. My son, he's 8, he has asthma. I can't afford to miss work. I asked for help. I begged Daryl to hire someone. He said, 'Everyone's tired, deal with it.' I don't have anyone to watch my kid when I'm here. I leave food in the fridge and just pray he's okay." She looked down, ashamed. "I used to love this job. 4 years. I kept my head down, did everything by the book. Now I'm just trying to survive the day." Colson's stomach twisted. He hadn't built this company so people like Petra could suffer like this. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "For what?" she asked, looking confused. He stood, heart pounding. He hadn't planned to do it this soon, but he couldn't stay silent. "For letting it get this bad." Petra's brow furrowed. "What do you mean?" He took off the cap, then the glasses. "I'm not Rick," he said. "I'm Colson Tate. I own this place. All of them." Petra stared at him, unmoving. Then she stepped back. "You're the CEO?" "Yeah." She blinked. "You cleaned 14 rooms with me." "I needed to see it for myself." Petra didn't say anything for a long moment, then quietly, "So now what?" Petra stood frozen, her breathing uneven. The silence between them felt like pressure building in the room. "I don't know what you want me to say," she finally muttered. "I'm not here for a speech," Colson replied. I'm here to fix what I should have seen sooner. She wiped the corner of her eye with her sleeve, then straightened up as if bracing herself. If you're serious, you don't need my permission. Just look around. It's all broken and nobody's hiding it. Colson nodded once. I'll handle it, but I need to see the rest. The next 3 rooms were cleaned in tense silence. Petra kept working, but her movements were tighter now, less automatic, more guarded. Colson didn't push it. Instead, he focused on every detail. The stained carpet in room 317 that hadn't been replaced in years. The cracked tile in a bathroom that management had clearly ignored. The broken vacuum Petra struggled with for a full 5 minutes before giving up and using a broom. By the afternoon, they were behind schedule. Petra glanced at her watch and sighed. I was supposed to pick up my son 15 minutes ago, she said. Can you finish the last 2? I'll cover them, Colson said. Go. She looked at him, uncertain. You sure? I'll figure it out. After she left, Colson finished the final suites alone. His arms burned from lifting the mattress corners, and his knees ached from scrubbing under the sinks. He didn't cut corners. If Petra could do this day after day, he could do it once. At 5:45, he dropped the laundry cart back at the service corridor. Daryl was leaning against the wall, drinking from a plastic cup. You're late, he said, not looking up from his phone. Colson didn't respond. Daryl raised an eyebrow. Couldn't keep up with Petra. She's fast, but she's got issues. Always asking for help, like the rest of the world's supposed to stop, 'cause her kid's sick or whatever. Colson's jaw tightened. She's been carrying your entire department. Daryl shrugged. She's got seniority. That's what she's paid for. Colson stepped closer. And what exactly is it you do around here besides sit in the back and let people drown? Daryl narrowed his eyes. Who the hell do you think you are? Colson pulled out his ID and held it up between them. The man who signs your paychecks. Daryl's mouth opened, but no words came. Colson didn't wait. Your employment ends now. HR will be in touch for an exit interview. Leave your badge at the front desk. You're firing me? Daryl barked. Over what, helping the company run lean? No, for negligence, for letting your team collapse while you sat on your hands, and for the way you spoke about Petra. That alone would have been enough. Daryl stared, his face red. For a moment, it looked like he might argue. Then he turned, muttered something under his breath, and stormed off. Colson watched him go, then headed to the lobby. The front desk was still manned by the same girl as earlier. She barely glanced up when he approached. Hey, he said. What's your name? Leah, she said flatly. You've been on since morning? Yeah. Anyone else working the desk today? Nope. Manager said budget's tight. Double shifts most days. Any breaks? 15 minutes. Took it at 1. Had to eat behind the desk, though. Phones don't stop. Colson took in the dark circles under her eyes, the half-empty energy drink beside her keyboard, the way she rubbed her temples between guest calls. You like working here? He asked. She gave a dry laugh. I like having a job. You ever meet the owner? She stared at him. Why? I'm him. She blinked, then leaned back slowly. You're serious? He nodded. Very. She looked him over now with more interest. So, what happens next? I need to talk to the rest of the staff tomorrow, you included. We're not doing this anymore. That night, Colson didn't go back to his usual hotel downtown. He stayed in room 305, one of the simpler rooms. He wanted to feel what his guests experienced. The sheets were clean Petra's doing, but the lamp flickered when he turned it on, and the hallway outside was noisy well past midnight. He took notes. Every flaw mattered now. The next morning, he was in the break room by 7. Most of the staff shuffled in, looking half awake. Petra arrived late, her eyes darting nervously when she saw Colson. You didn't tell anyone? He asked her. No, didn't think they'd believe me. Good. He climbed onto one of the chairs so he could be seen. I'm Colson Tate. I opened this hotel myself. And I made the mistake of thinking I didn't have to be here to know what's going on. The room was silent. I was wrong. He looked around at the faces. 2 maintenance workers, a breakfast attendant named Rosa, a night shift housekeeper who barely looked old enough to vote. All of them looked exhausted. Starting today, things change. Daryl is no longer with us. I'll be bringing in a new manager, someone who understands this work and respects the people doing it. Several heads lifted at that. I've already authorized immediate overtime pay review. No more unpaid minutes. You clock in, you get paid. Period. A murmur spread. Next week, a hiring push begins. We're not running short-staffed anymore. I'd rather close rooms than burn out people. Leah raised her hand. What about breaks? Full compliance. Every shift gets 2 breaks and a proper lunch. If that's not happening, I want to know. Colson looked at Petra. And if your kid's sick, we'll help cover childcare cost. That's not a promise, it's already being processed. Her eyes widened, but she said nothing. I'll be staying here the rest of the week, working every department. If something's broken, I want to see it myself. He stepped down. Any questions? Rosa raised a hand timidly. If we tell you something's wrong, you'll actually listen? Colson met her eyes. I didn't come here to pretend. I came to listen. And I'm not leaving until this place works the way it should. The staff began to shift. Not quite relaxed, but something close to alert. Awake, hopeful. After the meeting, Petra caught up to him outside the break room. You didn't have to do all that. Yes, I did, he said. She hesitated. People will actually want to work here if this keeps up. That's the idea. And what about the other hotels? I'll get to them, one at a time. But first, we finish what we started here. Petra held out her hand. He took it. Then let's get to work. By the following morning, word had spread fast. Some employees looked at Colson with cautious curiosity. Others avoided eye contact entirely, unsure whether to believe what they had heard. A few, like Rosa from breakfast service, gave him small nods as they passed, like they were waiting to see if this was another round of lip service from someone too far removed to matter. Colson didn't blame them. In the break room, he studied the whiteboard schedule. 4 names were written under housekeeping, but only Petra had shown up so far again. The others were likely burned out or had simply quit without notice. He turned to the new supervisor he'd flown in late last night, a woman named Maya Reese. She'd been in the company 6 years, starting in laundry and working her way up. Colson had personally requested her for this assignment. I need you to audit every operational gap, he said. Staffing, maintenance, supply chain, all of it. But I want you working alongside them, not watching from a clipboard. Maya gave a single nod. Already started. Laundry's 3 days behind. They've been shorted on detergent for weeks. And the vacuum Petra's using? It's held together with packing tape. They didn't report it? They did. Daryl shut the ticket down, said it wasn't critical. Colson clenched his jaw. Replace it today. Actually, replace all of them. She tapped her tablet. Already ordered. Should be here by tomorrow. Colson stepped out into the hallway. He'd planned to shadow the night audit team that evening, but something tugged at him. The front desk. He hadn't spent more than a few minutes there since arriving. When he walked through the lobby, Leah was there again, her hair pinned back tighter than before, her blazer slightly wrinkled. She was answering a guest question about parking passes while flipping through a stack of check-in forms. The phone rang twice. She picked it up without hesitation and managed to sound calm even as another guest waited behind her. Colson stood off to the side, watching. When the line cleared, he stepped up. You always work this many doubles? He asked. Not by choice, she said. But no one else showed up again. Anyone call out? Nope, just didn't show. Can't blame them. Pay's not worth the abuse some of these guests throw at us. He glanced at the monitor. You handling check-ins solo? Yeah, no backup until 7, if they come. Do you know how to train? She hesitated. You mean, like, new hires? Yeah? Sure, I've done it, but no one stayed longer than 2 weeks. You willing to help rebuild the front desk team? Leah's eyes narrowed a fraction. What exactly does that mean? I want you to step into a lead role, not a promotion, yet more like a trial. But I'll back you fully. You'll help choose the next hires, set the tone. She folded her arms. And if I say no, I'll still get it done. But I'd rather do it with someone who knows what's broken. After a long pause, she nodded once. All right, I'll try. But I'm not covering for anyone else. I've done enough of that. Fair. He took a step back. Send me a list of what this desk needs to actually function. Hardware, training time, whatever. She glanced at the printer behind her. Its tray was jammed, and the toner light blinked red. Start with that. Later that afternoon, Colson joined Maya for a walkthrough of the utility corridors behind the guest floors. The carpet changed from plush to industrial tile, and the walls were bare concrete. The air smelled faintly of bleach and damp linen. Maintenance requests have been buried, Maya said, holding up a clipboard. 2 broken ice machines, 1 elevator panel that's been acting up, and the HVAC filter in the staff laundry is long overdue for replacement airflows down to a trickle. Why wasn't this escalated? They tried. Reports were marked as resolved or just deleted. They turned a corner and nearly collided with a young man wheeling a mop bucket. He looked startled. "Sorry," he said quickly, stepping aside. "Name?" Maya asked. "Chris, night janitor. I'm covering day shifts this week. They said I'd get comp time, but I haven't seen it." Colson stepped forward. "How many hours have you worked this week?" Chris did a quick mental tally. 68, maybe 70. Maya looked at Colson. "That's not legal," Colson said. "We'll fix it, effective immediately, and you're off tomorrow, paid." Chris blinked. "Wait, really?" "Yes, go home, get some rest." Chris hesitated. "Is this because of the whole CEO thing?" "It's because nobody should carry this place on their back while others disappear." As they continued through the corridor, Maya stopped at a door with a faded sign. "Storage do not block." She opened it. Inside, linens were stacked haphazardly on shelves. There were broken floor fans in a corner, partially collapsed boxes of paper towels, and a plastic bin labeled Lost and Found that looked untouched for months. "This is where Petra's been pulling supplies from," Maya said. "No inventory system, no tracking, no organization." "Fix it," Colson said. "Build a proper stockroom. Lock it if you have to. I want every item logged and accounted for." As they stepped out, a voice called from down the hall. "Mr. Tate?" It was Rosa, the breakfast attendant. She looked nervous, twisting a towel in her hands. "I didn't want to interrupt, but I need to tell you something." He nodded. "Go ahead." "There's been this guest, room 204. He's been staying here off and on for months. Every time I'm on shift, he says comments about how I talk, how I look. I told Daryl, and he said to just smile through it, that we need his business." Colson's expression hardened. "Did he touch you?" "No, but I don't feel safe when he's around. I started switching shifts just to avoid him." "Not acceptable," Colson said. "What's the name on the reservation?" She hesitated. "Grant, Marcus Grant." He turned to Maya. "Flag the account. He's banned from every property. If he tries to book again, I want security notified. And I want a formal apology to Rosa in writing, with HR aware of what happened." Rosa's eyes filled with tears, but she nodded. "Thank you. You shouldn't have had to ask," he said quietly. By evening, Colson returned to the lobby. The energy had shifted. The new uniforms had arrived for housekeeping, simple, functional, and more breathable than the stiff polyester ones they'd been stuck with. Petra had coordinated distribution herself. It wasn't much, but the staff noticed. Leah was still at the desk, now training a new hire, a quiet young woman named Suri, who looked fresh out of community college. Leah was patient but firm, guiding her through the check-in process without snapping, even when Suri fumbled a credit card authorization. Colson approached once the desk cleared. "How's she doing?" "Better than most," Leah said. "Still nervous, but she listens." He nodded. "And you? You holding up?" "I'm not used to being asked that." "Well, get used to it." She gave a small breath that might have been a laugh. "Ask me again in a week." He turned to leave, but she called out quietly, "Hey." He looked back. "Don't disappear when this place starts running right. We've had enough ghosts in charge." "I won't." Outside, dusk settled over the parking lot. Colson stood near the curb and watched the lights switch on in the guest rooms one by one. He could feel the strain of the last few days pulling at him, but beneath it was something steadier. The work was just beginning, but for the first time in too long, it felt like a company again, not just a brand. And tomorrow, he'd be back on the floor. Colson arrived just after sunrise. The air still held a damp chill, and the sidewalk shimmered from a weak overnight rain. He walked in through the back staff entrance, holding a paper tray with 6 coffees and a small brown bag. When he entered the service corridor, Petra was already folding fresh towels onto a restocked shelf. her movement slower than usual. "Thought you might need this," he said, offering her a cup. She took it with a quiet thank you and sipped it without breaking rhythm. "You sleep at all?" "Few hours. My son's lungs were acting up last night. I kept checking to make sure he was breathing okay." Colson nodded. "Take the morning. Maya can cover your rounds. I already cleared it." Petra looked over at him, surprised. "And miss the new vacuums arriving?" "They'll still be here when you're back. I'll go home after the first 5. I just want to see the difference." He didn't argue. Instead, he made his way to the laundry room. The industrial dryers were humming steadily now. Maya was rearranging the inventory racks with 2 new hires, one folding, the other logging items into a shared app they'd introduced 2 days earlier. "You'll need more folding tables if we keep scaling up," she said without looking up. "Order them." "I already did, but I figured you'd feel better pretending you still have veto power." Colson chuckled. "Fair enough." He stepped out into the hallway and crossed over to the back office, where HR had set up a temporary desk for on-site interviews. A young woman in a navy sweater sat nervously outside the door, clutching a resume in both hands. "Here for a front desk role?" he asked. "Yes, sir. Leah said to come early, said you were still building the team." "She's right. You ever worked hotels before?" "No, but I've done call center work. I'm good with people, better with angry ones." He gave her a nod. "That'll come in handy." Inside the office, a regional HR rep was reviewing applications. Colson motioned for her to step outside with him. "That's the 7th walk-in this week," he said once they were alone. "Keep screening for attitude. I'll take someone green over someone cynical." "Understood. We've started flagging resumes that show long gaps or high turnover. You want to give those a chance too?" "Yeah, but only if they come in person. No more online fog." Back in the lobby, Leah was training the second new hire, an older man named Raymond, who had previously worked front desk at a small inn that shut down post-pandemic. He moved deliberately, but had a calm presence that balanced Suri's nerves. "How's the new roster looking?" Colson asked as she handed off a room key. "We're still technically short, but I've got enough coverage to stop doubling shifts. I'll do early mornings for now. Let the others rotate. You need anything from me?" She hesitated, then lowered her voice. "Actually, yeah. There's something off with the overnight audit logs. Some of the charges look inflated. It started about 6 weeks ago. Small stuff, minibar restocks, late checkout fees. But it's too consistent." "Show me." She pulled up the reports on the monitor and highlighted a pattern. Charges were being applied during overnight shifts, but the guests hadn't signed for them. The audit initials, always TG. "That's Tyler. Does he still work here?" "Yeah, he's scheduled tonight." Colson leaned in. "Message Maya. We'll review security footage before his shift starts." Quietly. By mid-afternoon, Maya had retrieved the relevant logs. Tyler was seen entering multiple rooms under the guise of verifying minibar inventory during hours when the guests were either out or asleep. No documentation, no follow-ups. Just charges added to the folios the next morning. "Confront him before shift," Colson said. "I want him out today. No second chances." They brought Tyler into the office at 6. He was a lanky man in his 20s, with a bored expression and earbuds still dangling from his collar. Maya spoke first. "We've reviewed audit logs and footage. You've been adding charges without authorization." "It's policy," Tyler said. "I check the rooms. If stuff's missing, I log it." "You're not entering rooms without guest permission or without a second staff member. That's policy," Colson said. "They don't care. Half of them don't even read the bill." "You're done," Colson said. "We're terminating your employment effective immediately. You'll be escorted from the building." Tyler scoffed. "You serious? All this over a couple of snacks?" "This is theft. Get your things." As he left, Maya exhaled sharply. He's been sliding under the radar too long. Daryl probably knew. Colson didn't reply. He just nodded toward the monitor. "Let's make sure none of this repeats." The next morning, Rosa approached him in the break room. "I wanted to say something," she said, shifting her weight. "I got a message from corporate HR. They said the man who used to come in, the one I told you about, he's been flagged across the chain. They also said they're reviewing security protocols for guest complaints. They need to." "You shouldn't have had to carry that alone." She gave a small nod. "I almost quit, twice. Now I'm glad I didn't." Colson paused, then pulled an envelope from his jacket pocket. "This is for you," he said. "It's a bonus, not a performance reward, just a thank you. For staying when others wouldn't." She opened it slowly, her eyes widened. I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything. Just keep doing what you're doing." Later that day, he met with Petra again, this time in the staff lounge. It had been repainted over the weekend, new cushions on the benches, fresh lighting, and a stocked mini fridge. Nothing extravagant, but enough to show the staff someone cared. "I've been thinking," he said as she poured coffee. "This place is stable now. Not fixed, but stable. I want you to take on more." She looked up. "Like a promotion?" "Not right away. But I want to put you in charge of onboarding new housekeepers. You've got the trust. And more importantly, you've got the standards." She considered that. "I'm not a manager. I don't know how to do spreadsheets or talk in meetings." "You don't have to. I'll pair you with someone who does. You just teach the work." "I'd need mornings off once a week to take my son to his appointments." "Done." She nodded once. "I'll try." That evening, Colson stood by the front windows of the lobby. Outside, traffic moved steadily along the highway. Inside, the lobby was quiet, the mood different. Not lighter, not yet, but less brittle. He watched as Suri helped an elderly guest with a luggage cart, carefully guiding it over the entryway lip. Leah was at the desk, showing Raymond how to log a payment override. Rosa walked past carrying a fresh tray of fruit cups, humming softly under her breath. None of it was perfect, but it was real progress. Maya joined him near the window. "You heading out tomorrow?" she asked. "Yeah, another property needs attention." "They all do." "I'll get to them." "You think it'll stick here?" He looked around once more. It already has. He stepped outside, the air warm now. The door shut behind him, muffling the sounds of a hotel finally beginning to breathe again.